Shalom. First and foremost, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai Bahashem, or called Kadash. And the Heavenly Father, true name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew of the Lashon Kodash, Holy Tongue. And I say Barakabam to the elders and apostles, Wa'akim, Ma'akwaf, and I say Shalom. And this is a World War III news updates as of February 28th, 2026, on this Saturday afternoon. And as you've been seeing from last night and on way into today, we've been seeing the rising tensions be heating up between Iran and its defense force, and then Iran versus the United States armies, as I believe a couple of military facilities of the United States where they station soldiers at, over there in Qatar, over there in different parts over there in Dubai, and different parts over there in the Middle East. And then you've been having airstrikes over there in different parts of Tel Aviv, because I believe there was another sirens heard once again. Missile barrage hit over there in Tel Aviv, northern Israel, central Israel, and southern Israel, and over there in the Golan Heights as well too, as tensions be heating up between Iran and its defense force. It says 201 unalive in the U.S.-Israeli attacks on Iran, the U.S. state media live updates. Now, supposedly, they said one of the supreme leaders, they said supposedly, if that's true or not, from the intelligence reports from the Israelis, they're saying that potentially that the top leader of the supreme leader might get hit those airstrikes. According to them, they said he might be unalive, but we're going to see that's confirmed. That was according to reports, intelligence from the Israelis. It says, because I believe one of their top senior leaders, he got unalive in the airstrike as well too. After those barrage of airstrikes campaign from the United States and the Israel Defense Force as of last night and all the way in today. And then Iran, they did that retaliation strikes on military bases of the United States and the Israel Defense Forces as well too, throughout different parts over there in the Middle East, which is over there in Bahrain, over there in Qatar, and over there in different parts over there in Dubai. It says a major combat operations launched by the U.S. President Donald Trump, eliminating Tehran's nuclear program, has triggered a wave of response across the Middle East and the Gulf region. It says the Iranian Red Crescent Society has said 201 people were unalive in Iran in the U.S.-Israeli attacks. A spokesperson told the Melora news agencies that the strikes has hit 24 of Iran's provinces and injured 747 people. The Iran foreign minister says that the U.S. and Israel has struck military and civilian targets, blatantly violation the country's territorial integrity of the sovereignty. Iran's military has launched a wave of retaliatory strikes towards Israel. Explosions were reported in the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain, and Kuwait, and all which host U.S. military assets. In a statement on Saturday morning, Moscow condemned what it calls a premeditated and unprovoked act of armed aggression against a sovereign and independent member of the state of the UN. The UK and France and Germany issued a joint statement condemning Iran's retaliatory attacks on neighboring countries, but stopped shortly, offering full support of the U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran. It says the UN Security Council is holding an emergency session in the aftermath of the major airstrikes in Iran by the United States and Israel. In retaliation, Tehran has launched its own attacks through the Middle East, with reports strikes in Dubai, Doha, and Dhahran, and Kuwait. The UN chief Antonio Guterres condemned the escalation, saying that it undermines international peace and security and threatens to plunge the region into a border conflict. It says a small rally has staged in central New York to protest the U.S. attacks on Iran. RT Caleb Melkin reports the protesters condemned the strikes, arguing that the true enemy of the United States was the Israeli lobby rather than Tehran.
We are not richer because we fight a war with Iran. We did not become richer because we fought a war with Iraq. We did not get richer because we fought a war in Afghanistan, because we fought a war in Korea, because we fought a war in Vietnam. We don't get richer off these wars. Only the Epstein class does. Enough. Enough killing innocent people. Bombing Iran doesn't make you richer. Bombing Iran doesn't make you healthier. Bombing Iran doesn't make your groceries cheaper. Bombing Iran doesn't clean up your streets. Bombing Iran doesn't put money into your public library. Bombing Iran doesn't help anybody. Enough. Enough war. Focus on America. Help America.
It says explosions have heard across Doha and Qatar as Iran and a new wave of retaliatory attacks on the U.S. military bases respond to U.S. joint Israeli strikes. It says, according to the Qatar Interior Minister, officials spoke Reuters. It says attack resulted in 8 people were injuries. It says a U.S. CENTCOM has published a video reporting shows and carry out attacks on Iran. It says the RT correspondent Samuel Koljari, if I pronounce his name right, has reported a long line of cars awaiting to fill up at the gas station in Tehran. It says a projectile to be a Iranian ship-head family Kazakhstan drone was hit in a high-rise building in the Iranian capital of Malima. Footage circulating online suggests that after the skyscraper sustained a hit on the upper floors, reportedly fire rapidly spread across, clouding the video shows. It says Iran has attacked a U.S. military base in the Awaki Kurdistan city of Arab in Iraq. The Tasnim news agency has reported a footage of the projectiles, whereby the agency shows a projectile striking the installation, sparking a large fire on the ground. It says a former U.S. president and former U.S. vice president and presidential candidate Kamala Harris has strongly condemned the attack on Iran, branding it a dangerous and unnecessary gamble with American lives. The new conflict launched by the U.S. President Trump is reckless and dressed up as resolve, which is bound to jeopardize stability in the regions and our standing in the world. Donald Trump is dragging the U.S. into a war and American people does not want. Let me be clear, I am opposed to a regime change and war not Iran, and our troops are being put in harm's way for the sake of Trump's war of choice, Harris said in a statement. During the campaign, Donald Trump promised to end wars rather than start them. It was a lie. Then last year he said we obligated Iran's nuclear program too. It was a lie, she added. It says Ukraine's Vladimir Zelensky has cheered the sparks on Iran, urging U.S. President Trump to take a decisive action against the countries and bring them down. Government Zelensky, which territory has long-standing claims that Tehran has been supplying Moscow with kamikaze drones in tens of thousands and investigation, both allegation, both Iran and Russia has denied. Our nation has also suffered from Iranian-backed groups. Therefore, it's fair to give Iran people a chance to get rid of those group regimes and guarantee security for all nations that have suffered from the groups originated in Iran. Zelensky said it. It says 1931 GMT time, another update. It says the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed that signs are growing that the Iran Supreme Leader Ali Kamali is no more, the Israeli media has said. It says Netanyahu also claimed that Israel unalive a IRGC commander, senior Iranian regime officials, and senior nuclear officials, and that the coming days we will hit thousands of targets in the regime. He said that Israel will create conditions for the Iranian people and to free itself from the chain of dictatorship. It says the operations against Iran will continue as long as it's necessary. Netanyahu added, and cinema and it's necessary. We got that Matthews, the 24th chapter. Prophet Joel, chapter 3, verse 9. Proclaim ye this among the Gentiles, right? Our Gentiles and the armies of nations, as the prophet Joel is mentioned. This is being proclaimed among the Gentiles and army nations. Let all the men of war draw near to come up, right? So let all the men of war draw near to come up over there in the Middle East, which is Western Asia. Joel 3 verse 10. Beat your plowshares and swords and the plunderers and the spears like the weak sound strong, right? Because you have the Iran been doing those nuclear strikes in those different parts over there in the Middle East and in the Gulf region, over there in Iraq, in different parts in Qatar, over there in Dubai, and over there in Bahrain. They did those military airstrikes in those military facilities, which is supposedly being staged by the United States. And then,
boy, get your ass up out of my shit. Send your ass. They might get. Everybody got their tax money. That wind ain't no joke out there.
sure.
They said wind gonna be out. That's the wind coming from New York. Yeah, that wind high there out there. Yeah.
Right. So as I mentioned again, you have Joel 3 verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plunder into spears like the weak sound strong. Now the pro-Iranian groups, they haven't did a retaliatory strike, not just yet, but they on standby. But they fully support and they condemn those airstrikes that took place last night of the campaign of the United States and the Israel Defense Force, which they did over there in Tehran. Now, potentially, you're going to have the Israel Defense Force. You're going to have the pro-Iranian groups potentially might do strikes, especially over there in Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, the Gaza Strip, West Bank, Palestine territory. And over there in the Mediterranean Sea, potentially, they might target Great Britain armies, the United States armies, and Israel Defense Force armies at cross-border conflict, which took place like the last 2 years, and then it declined, then it de-escalated. Now, potentially that might happen once again because you still got the pro-Iranian groups. They still support, Hezbollah, the pro-Iranian groups and the proxy groups. So they're going to respond as well, too. But they haven't responded just yet, So we're going to see how that plays out. But in the meantime, we're definitely seeing the escalations are heating up between the Israel Defense Force and Iran. Joel chapter 3 and verse 10, beat your plowshares and the swords and the plungers into spears like the weak sound strong. Right, because Iran, they did retaliate as well too. And they did some missile strikes of their own over there in different parts over there in the Middle East, This is Matthews 24 verse 6. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. Right, so that's what we're hearing, rapid increasing wars and rumors of wars. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See, that should be not trouble, for all these things must first come to pass, but then it's not yet. Right, so it's going to come to pass, but not going to end just yet. Matthew 24:7. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. Right, so we see Iran versus Israel Defense Force. We see Iran versus United States. The proxy groups and the pro-Iranian groups going against the Israel Defense Force and their allies. For nation shall rise against nation. Right, Russia versus Ukraine. Thailand versus Cambodia. Pakistan versus Afghanistan. Tensions heating up over there in Myanmar. Tensions heating up in between the borders of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Tensions heating up over there in Sudan. Tensions heating up over there in Congo. Tensions heating up down in the South China Sea. China versus Taiwan. Tensions are heating up over there in the Korean Peninsula. North Korea versus South Korea, Japan, United States. Tensions are heating up over there in the disputed territorial islands. China versus the Philippines. China versus Japan. China versus Taiwan, China versus the United States. So these are signs of nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom, and wars and rumors of wars. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. So we're going to have these political wars, geopolitical wars, economical wars, trade wars, nuclear wars. For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom. And there shall be famines and pestilence and earthquakes in diverse places. And this is the book of Revelation. Then I'm closed out. This is Revelation 11, verse 14. The second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. Right, so the second will pass, behold, the third will come quickly. So these tensions between Iran and Israel Defense Forces is really going to heat up, After that campaign strike of the Israel Defense Force, the United States did. Now these tensions are going to escalate once again, especially between Iran versus the Israel Defense Force. So with that, this was just a World War III, World War III news updates as of February 28th, 2026 on this Saturday afternoon. So with that, I'd like to give all praises and glory and honor to Yahweh Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Makakadash, and the Heavenly Father. The true name is Yahweh, and His unbegotten Son, Bahashem, in the name of Hamashiach, Yahweh Shai. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashbadash, Salaki, the Holy Tongue. Those are the true names in the ancient Paleo Hebrew, the Lashbadash, Holy Tongue. And I say Barakathon to the elders and apostles, Wa'ak and Wa'ak. Till next time, I would say Shalom.